Hey guys, Alton here. Welcome to my YouTube channel and welcome back to our 10th episode of our Learning Linux Fundamentals for Ethical Hacking series, where I'm teaching back to you guys what I personally learned as I'm going on the journey of learning ethical hacking myself. So what are we going to talk about in this video? Well, for this episode, I'm going to show you how to create and edit files in Shell. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to create a blank file with the touch command. I'm going to show you how to use the Nano editor. So we're going to create and edit files with that. And I'm going to show you how to concatenate or to show the contents of a file back out onto your terminal screen. And just for fun, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start up the Apache 2 service on our Linux virtual machine, which is going to start up our web server. We're going to go into there. We're going to go into the index.html file. We're going to edit that. And we're going to modify that file and just show you how to access that through your web browser. So let's go ahead. Let's jump over to my computer screen and let's get started. All right, so let's go ahead and let's get started. So what I want to do is I want to demonstrate some very simple ways of creating and editing files and viewing the contents of the files. And what we're going to do is we're just going to do some basic demonstrations, and we'll start up our Apache service, which is our web server, and we'll edit an HTML file as well. So let's go ahead, let's get started. So let me go ahead and close out of my shell and reload it up. So we have to navigate into the proper directory because I was working in a shell where I actually deleted one of the test directories that I was working with before I started this video. So let's do a print working directory, not an ls. So it shows us that we're in root. Now let's do an ls, and it gives us different options. Let's go ahead to our desktop. So let's go ahead and move over to there. And I don't want to have this in full screen because I want to show to you over here what's actually occurring. So let's go ahead, let's create a file. So there are a couple of very simple ways of creating a file. We can use the touch command. So we can say, what is touch? And you'll notice it says change file timestamps, but you can use touch to create a blank file. So if I do touch, let's say new file 1.txt, what you're going to notice is on the desktop it created a new file, and that file is blank. So if I open it up here in our GUI editor, there's nothing in there. Now if we wanted to view the contents of this in terminal, we could use what is called the cat command. So let's go ahead and say, what is cat? And you'll notice it says concatenates files and prints on the standard output. So in other words, it prints it to the screen. So what we can do is, let me go ahead and clear this, and let's say cat new file 1.txt. You'll notice it's blank, there's nothing in there. Let's go ahead over here to our GUI editor and let's say this is our first line of text. Let's save it, let's close it. Now let's go into here and we cat it again, and now you can see the contents of the file. Pretty cool, right? Pretty simple. Now we can also create a new file with Nano. So there's actually multiple different editors, and the easiest one is Nano, and that's the one I've been learning and using as a beginner, and so that's what I'm going to show you. So we simply just type in Nano and then the name of the file. And actually let's type in what is Nano. Nano, another editor inspired by Pico. So it's a shell-based terminal editor. So let's clear out of here and let's type in Nano and let's say new file 2.txt. And what's going to happen, it's going to bring me into Nano, and within Nano we can start writing all sorts of different things. So let's say this is my second file. We can do whatever, but that's more than enough. So to get out of here, you'll notice the caret symbol, that means control. So it tells you the different commands. To get out, to exit, we can do Control X, and this is going to prompt us to save it. So we put in Y to save. It's going to prompt us to save it to the proper file name. We'll hit enter, and now it's created this new file. And let me scroll it over here. If we open this up, there it is, there's the text. If we go into here and in terminal, if we do cat new file 2.txt, the text is in there. Now we can also use Nano, and let me go ahead and clear everything. We can also use Nano to edit a file. So if we go back into that file, if we just type in Nano in the name of a file that exists, it's going to open up an existing file, and we can use Nano to edit a file. So I can go into here. Say I'm adding a new sentence, and then go ahead and save, get out of there, and cat it again. And there's that new sentence. So very simple. These are some very easy ways of making files, editing files, and viewing the content of them. Now I want to go one step further. So if we go to our files, let me go ahead and make this full screen in my virtual machine. And let me go to computer, and we're going to go to var for variables, and we're going to go into www for the website root and HTML. So in the var/www/html, there's going to be an index.html file. And let me open it up, and this is what the file says. It says that it works. Now, what if we wanted to actually go to our web server? Well, if you remember from your networking days, for those of you that have a networking background, 127.0.0.1 is our loopback address, our local host address. And if we hit this, this should pop up if our web service is up and running. Now, to make sure that your web service is up and running, I already went ahead and started mine. Let me show you the very simple command. So Apache 2 is a web server for Linux. And what you would simply do, you have to, remember, if you're not logged in with root, you have to use sudo in front of this. But if you're logged in as root like me, you simply type in service. And after service, you type in Apache 2. And then you tell it to start. And it'll start up the service if it isn't started up. If we want to stop it, well, we just type in stop, and it'll stop the service. And if we go back to here, if it's stopped, now you'll notice after I stopped it, can't connect anything. So if we go back over to here, and let's actually just put these two side by side. Let's go ahead and start it back up, refresh it. Now it works again. Simple enough, right? So let's go ahead and edit that file that we were talking about. So the index.html. So let's edit this HTML. So what we need to do, so let's print our working directory. So we're in the root, and so we're in -root, and let me go ahead and move this out of the way, and let me show you where we want to go. So we are in our /root, so we need to move back a directory. We need to move into var www HTML and open up this file. So let me close that out. Let's close this out for now, and let's make this full screen. So we need to go back, and now if we print working directory, we are in the / actual root directory. So we need to go to cd var. So I'll just type in v because there should only be one. There we go. And if we do print or ls-l, hit enter, we need to go into the www folder. So cd www, and if we do ls-l again, now we need to go into the HTML folder. So there's only one. So cd HTML, and let's clear this out, and let's do an ls-l again. There are two files. There's an index.html, and then there's another one as well. So for web servers, they're typically configured to look for an index.html or index.htm or index.php or whatever it is. And so this is the file that we want to edit. So let's use Nano. Nano HTML or index.html. Okay, so let's edit this with some basic HTML. And so let's go ahead and let's delete all this. And let me actually hover over here. So we're going to do HTML. We're going to do our opening tag for HTML, and we're not going to do a head. Let's do a body. So for those of you that don't know basic HTML, I'm just putting in some basic tags. You have to put everything that is to be outputted to the screen within the body tags, and they only had an H1 in here. They actually didn't even have the opening and closing HTML, but that's fine. So let's do an H1. What an H1 is, this is a heading 1 tag. So let's say this is my very first web page. And now we'll make a paragraph, so we'll just do a P enclosed in the caret symbols, or sorry, not the caret, but the opening and closing, and we'll say this is my very first paragraph. And then we'll close that with the greater than, / P, and caret. And we could do a lot more. You know, we could do an unordered list or a table or whatever, but this is more than enough. So let's go ahead and do Control X. Let's say yes to save. It's going to ask us to confirm the file name, hit enter. And now what we can do is we can actually cat the contents of this file. And here's everything that we have in here. So we can see that everything worked out okay. So we can go ahead and close out terminal. We can go to our browser and we can go to our local host address 127.0.0.1, hit enter. And if we refresh, so you may have to refresh because remember web browsers, they do have internal cache. And when I refresh, here's the changes. Here is our heading 1 tag. Here is our paragraph tag. And we went ahead and edited that file, specifically this HTML file. And I wanted to do this as just a very simple demonstration to show you how you can actually edit a file that you're using. And this is our index page for our Apache web server on our Linux virtual machine. So anyways, that's going to conclude this video. In summary, we just did some very basic things, right? We used the touch command to create a blank file. We used the nano command to create and edit files, and we use the cat file to concatenate or to print the contents of a file to the screen. And then of course we also started our Apache 2 service simply by doing the service Apache 2 start, and we edited the index.html file for our web server. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and I look forward to seeing you guys at the next video. Take care. Well, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you guys at future videos. Take care.